done today. But for now, without too much further ado, I didn't program the button, but it's okay because I can see where it is and I'm going to press it. I'm going to hand over you to the... I don't know, where is it? What's there? The amazing Lave Radio crew for a Lave Radio podcast live.
Broadcast from an orange sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician, it's Lave
Radio. Attention. Would you like to reorder Raider Radio? Would you like to do so?
Space can be loaded. What now? Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode, 300 with a question mark, maybe, of Lave Radio, the show that talks about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Sophia, Chief Archivist at Lave Station, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar, or rather on this rather bizarre virtual Lavecon, we have our Chief of Health and Safety, that is Ben Moss-Woodward, Commander Edelweiss.
Yeah, hello everybody and welcome to my bedroom.
That's something we never wanted to ever hear, to be
I
honest.
cleaned up for everyone.
Okay. Ugh. Commander Shan, our Inhuman Resources Director.
Hello.
We also seem to be invaded by a youngster, Commander Souverain, our Deputy Trade Attaché.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right, okay. Yeah,
Souv!
Hello. Yes, I have hair, so that's remarkable, I guess.
Yeah, I took most of mine off, as people can probably tell.
Yeah, I'm just hiding mine.
Most people seem to have at some point gone for the pandemic buzz cut, but I didn't go for that route.
I've not either, Souv, don't worry.
You've gone for the Clark Kent quiff, haven't you?
That's just what it does. It's enormous. It's voluminous.
We don't want to know that, Sam.
We're still talking about Souverain's hair here.
I'd moved on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's when you begin to look like the ghost of rock past and you think, no, it's got to go. So that's my excuse. Well, as you can see, we are not in-game. We are hanging out here at Virtual Lavecon. Obviously, COVID-19 struck, and we have to say big thanks to Alan, to Grant, and to Karen.
Karen, to Norman, to Moof.
Everybody. Sorry, it's the
Brain
fact
fart.
that Souverain looks so young has made me feel so old. The senior moments have started to kick in. That's my problem. Anyway, well, we'll move on. We'll just quickly go around everybody, see what catch up with them since our Gank Fest of the CMs on Tuesday. So, Shan?
I've been doing pretty well, actually. Getting ready to go away on tomorrow to anywhere that's open. So I'll be enjoying restaurants and hotels while they're still open. And yes, I'm basically chilled, really. Been enjoying virtual Lavecon. It's been different. It's been different. I kind of missed some things, and some things have been better. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Cool. Ben?
Yeah, I've been, like Shan's, I've been joining in on these weird Zoom calls basically since Friday night. And I've been partaking in that and then taking breaks when my son calls me to go off and play Roblox or Minecraft and things like that. I tried to take part in the Buckyball thing this morning before the streamers panel. And I got myself at Lave Station.
I put myself into my crate just because that's the ship I was in. And then I went off and did the circuit. And then I found out I hadn't actually pressed the record button on OBS.
So a rookie mistake to make then.
Rookie mistake. I had some beautiful landings.
Mm-hmm.
I had some atrocious landings.
Mm-hmm.
I had some loop of shames. I had some pad blocking.
Mm-hmm.
But I did manage to do it in under 1 hour, which Alec. Apparently, people are asking why did Alec include the hours column for the buckyball racing thing, and I think he included it for us. But I am pleased to say that even though none of my stuff was recorded, I will try and get in to do it later. But I was under an hour that attempt, despite all those mishaps. Yeah, that's most. And then it's been basically talking to everybody on Zoom, playing games, having fun.
Cool. Commander Sovereign, is that a Sag Eye t-shirt
Yes.
I see there?
Represent.
Yes.
And I've got a disambiguation badge as well.
Cool.
So yes, no, I've been good. What have I been doing? I have been absent from Lave Radio for a few weeks because the Suvette and I have decided to move house. Something about being cooped up two full-size human beings in a very small shoebox in South London does get the feet itching slightly for a move. So we've and we've been viewing places in earnest, and that's meant lots of evenings and weekends tramping about Peckham and Dulwich and Nunhead looking at flats. And my preference is for a little cottage by the sea. The Suvette's preference is for a 2-bed flat with a garden in South London. So naturally, we're compromising by viewing lots and lots of 2-bed flats with gardens in South London.
And how many castles will that cost you?
It will cost lots of castles. But it's probably necessary because at the moment we're in a 1-bed, as you can no doubt see behind me.
One thing that is fascinating me, and I've been asking everyone, is what are the books on your shelf, Sue? Because we've asked Colin. Colin's got books behind him, and we think Colin's books are the fake books you see in IKEA.
Right, hang on then. Hang on.
See if I can show you the books on the shelf. I'll let Colin do it first, actually.
Here we have it, just to prove it. Straight taken off the bookshelf. One wonderful EDR.
Yeah, but Colin, we didn't choose the book. We didn't choose the book, Colin.
I'm in the mirror universe. No wonder I've got a beard.
We didn't choose the book, Colin. You could have placed that book there just to prove they're not fake books. So I think we should pick out the book next to the one that says kitchen.
Kitchen.
No, because that's a Nigella Lawson one. I can just about see the word Nigella. What's the one on the? What's the one immediately below the one that says kitchen? It's below. It's kind of.
Oh right, hang on. So that's the vegetarian kitchen. Okay, I can't believe this. Okay.
Real books confirmed.
Real books confirmed.
Yes.
You can tell that my wife and my daughter do a lot of baking. They do an awful lot of baking, and I do the washing up.
So is it your Mary Berry book then, Colin?
No, God's truth, no. Just give me a McDonald's every day.
But he does have a soggy bottom.
Oh, I can't be even bothered putting that back now. It's too heavy. Right.
I too have my cookbook. It's probably mirrored.
Student grub.
Yep. Got my cookbook too. I'm not. Okay, fine.
Anyway, so Colin, what have you been up to? You've been having a fun time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one of the reasons I haven't been around at Virtual Lavecon so far is that our boiler exploded.
Wow.
There was a hissing sound on Friday evening, and then before I know it, there was water everywhere. So we've had to basically be without hot water since Friday afternoon, and it'll be Tuesday at the earliest before we can get it fixed. So Yay.
I'm not sure your investigations have reached the correct conclusion, Colin, because by the time what you just said, the hissing sound was the xenobunny in the crawl spaces above your house. It then nicked a paw, and its blood then seeped into the boiler system, which has then caused a overload in the heat exchangers. So basically, you've got 24 hours to get off your house before it explodes.
Oh, okay. Fair enough then. Well, we'll just leave. Oh, the Xenobunny yet again. Ah.
Haven't you got something to show us on that respect, Colin?
I think I'll leave that for the moment. I think something like that needs to be handled with care. So, first thing I wanted to touch on is obviously, it's been a year. This time last year, we just really had the announcement, well, the release where we got flying around the new training area, and it's been a year. So I just wanted everybody's thoughts on what's been happening in the last year. Do you think it's been a successful one for Elite Dangerous or not? So we'll start with Mr. Optimistic Commander Shan.
Has it been? I think it's been an all right year. I think the community has made this year rather than anything new that arrived. I think if it hadn't been for the strength and the inventiveness of the elite community, the content drought would have had a more significant impact than it has.
Yeah, I think I cannot argue with that at all. Yes, certainly the content drought has caused problems, especially when Galnet went silent at Christmas. But Ben, what did you think?
Obviously, agreeing with Shan there, I think, the stuff that the community is doing just now is amazing. I think it's a good time to be glad that we're not paying a monthly subscription for Elite Dangerous.
Oh, completely true.
It's the past year has had some very fun moments for me. Because in the past year we've had Distimals 2, but that's a community thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the current AXI thing, again, community. We've got Elite Weeks, Dark Turning the Wheel, again, community. But in terms of stuff that Frontier have made,
I mean, the interstellar initiatives were good until they ended.
Yeah,
I thought. It's just sort of, I think since Christmas, it's been difficult.
I think we're all starving for content.
Yeah.
In terms of highlights for me, I think one of my highlights the last year was the live stream we did with Stephen and Frontier with the rare good interception, the Lave and Brandy. I thoroughly enjoyed creating havoc there, and it was, of course, it gave birth to the fish dance as well. So that was the other plus.
It did.
Yes, yeah. We definitely need more fish dance. So, Vereen, what's your thoughts?
I think I don't think you can. The year splits quite neatly into two. So in terms of how the last year has been for Elite, I think problem with Elite is that we were trained early on to expect a certain frequency of updates and pace of development, and also a certain level of sort of dev kind of drive behind the narrative and stuff. And the story of Elite development has been gradually sort of slackening that pace since about 2017. So the Beyond series was perceived by quite a few people to be a bit of a letdown after Horizons, and then 2019 was perceived to be quite a big letdown after Beyond. But actually, viewed from June 2020, 2019 was bloody brilliant. We had interstellar initiatives, we had ongoing narrative, loads going on. Every time you logged in, there were normally new things to get involved with. So I think that, and actually, I think with all the discussions that we had about narrative a few months ago, I think my opinion is that 2019's interstellar initiatives were amongst the best bits of storytelling that the game has seen. I think the two best bits of narrative that Elite has had were the kind of games mastering that people like Michael Brooks did in the early days with CGs that sort of dynamically evolved depending on what players did, and then the Interstellar initiatives, which were strung together narratives across many months. It may have seemed like content paucity at the time, but viewed from today, that seemed really, really good fun. Whereas, so actually, I think 2019 was actually quite a good year for Elite in terms of storytelling and narrative drive. And 2020 so far has been a different box of badgers, because there's been nothing to do in the live game at all, and yet lots and lots of exciting things in the future. Fleet carriers is, I think, a really necessary thing, and seems to have energized the player base a lot, and we've seen higher player numbers than I think ever before because of it. And I think fleet carriers are great. They haven't caused me to be logging on more frequently, but I think they're good for the game. And it is difficult to dismiss Elite as stale when they're about to give everybody space legs. So yeah, to wrap up, I think it's been a changeable year. There's loads of different facets to it. I don't think it's easy to just dismiss it as either good or bad.
But do you think, Sue? Do you think that people who've got out what they put in, if you see what I mean, because instead of relying on Frontier for their content, if you make the effort, you've been rewarded for that effort? Would you say that's true?
I don't know. That sounds like something you say in a job interview, not something that you say about a video game. I'm not sure that enjoying a game should be a case of, have I worked hard enough at it this week? I think 2020, which is very much let's build sandcastles because we've got absolutely bugger else to do, and turning the wheel and stuff, things like that are great initiatives, but they really are, making our own fun because the content taps have been turned off. And I don't think that. I mean, fleet carriers are kind of the epitome of the thing that's put in for content vultures to grind for. So saying that kind of player has been neglected is or hasn't got any enjoyment out of this year isn't correct, because they clearly have. I think, yeah. I mean, it's what you mean is with the lack of kind of narrative drive from Frontier, the players have had to make their own fun, and some of them have been doing. Yeah,
I guess where I'm going from.
As Bitstorm has mentioned in the chat room, he sort of says he gets the impression that Frontier are saying, right, entertain yourselves, we got work to do.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, I think, because we spoke many months ago about the cardboard box and how often the most fun thing you can give a kid is a cardboard box. And I'm just wondering whether this past year has been Frontier giving us the cardboard box, and it's been down to us to make use of it. I don't know, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is things to do in Elite if you go looking. The one thing that has surprised me, though, as soon as fleet carriers came out, the indications of the number of players just shot up through the roof.
Yeah,
with Steam charts reporting more players playing Elite than ever before, which that surprised me, and I know it surprised a lot of the doomsayers on the forums. I mean, was that the solution? Put in a big ticket item that everybody wanted?
Being a bit naughty, you could suggest, well, maybe more players are playing on Steam rather than through the launcher. So the proportion of Steam to launcher players has changed. Being mischievous.
Yeah, just being mischievous, but there's at least 10,000 carriers out there now.
Well, that's 10,000 people who've mined low temperature diamonds for a week, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
is that 10,000 figure? Is that from Frontier? Is that a stat?
No, that's the only people who have registered it on Inara.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting that in terms of concurrent players, it's the highest numbers ever, and it's 14,000 a day and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I'd be interested to know how many of those concurrent players bought a fleet carrier, because it would be really interesting if we saw really, really high player numbers, but only like a quarter or a third of those had actually bought a fleet carrier.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we will not have access to that data. We can only speculate, which is always a bit of fun.
Which
Well,
is
that's
what we always do anyway.
Yeah, it's what we always do. So, well, moving on from there, obviously, there's been a newsletter. Mostly, it's just one of the things they highlighted in the newsletter has been what we're doing now, and also the fact that we shot a lot of CMs on last Tuesday's show. Did you find that therapeutic, by the way, Ben?
I wouldn't say I found it therapeutic, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was lovely. To be honest, it was just lovely shooting the shit with Tim and Bruce as well.
It wasn't Tim, it was Arthur.
Sorry, Arthur and Bruce. Yes, sorry.
It was Arthur and Bruce we had,
Yeah.
which is turning out to be an absolute nightmare to edit. Don't worry, it's still in production. I will have it ready soon.
I think Grad could have predicted that one. You
Wondered
do
why
good
you-
ideas.
To be honest, there's some really tragic news that I got a message from Norman this morning going, that's episode 288. And it's like, no. Oh, no. I didn't edit it because I wasn't going to edit it. I didn't edit it because Colin wanted to edit the CQC into a nice
montage.
And therefore, so you might want to drop... Norman
What's
a message
Norman
and you can
done?
chop he's done a full edit, so I don't know whether or not he's just cut the gaps out and stuff and tidied it up, chopped an end
God,
of it.
no.
Hopefully not too
Norman.
much.
We're just like Frontier, left hand not talking to the right hand.
Well, no, it's not that at all, because Norman is obviously, he's one of our
Yes.
backup techs, and he is an amazingly passionate and enthusiastic
Norman's awesome.
assistant, and he's just, I think, watching all this going on, and he is trying his best to get involved and to help where he can, and what he sees is the editing is a big task, and if he can take that off, and he's been trying to get the content from yesterday edited, but I'm like, no, you gotta wait, because if you take the feed from there, it's not going to be as good as it is from me, but I've got to run a thing on it first, and then I can pass it to you, then you can edit those, and if you do the audio editing, that's great, and I'll do the video editing, and then we've got a team working on it, and nobody gets so overwhelmed, and that's the plan. But when he heard it, he goes, I've got that edited for you. I was like, no, I said don't, no. I mean, it's amazing you have, but no, because it's not me that's holding it back, it's one of them again. It's one of them lot. You know, Norman and
Thank you for
we
showing
get things
initiative,
done.
Norman.
We get things done, but yeah. So thank you, Norman, very much, and we were. He was instrumental in helping us on Friday night getting the other stream running as well, to give you the instructions of how to get involved this weekend. So Norman is a huge asset to us, and even though he doesn't like to come on and say hello, he should be here. And you know, one of these years we're going to get him down to Lavecon so that he can be part of the huge experience that Lavecon is, because it's second to none.
It is. Going back to the community aspect, which has been keeping Elite Dangerous going. We've been asked to mention the Anti-Xeno Initiative's blood paint CG that's happening at the moment, because apparently it's awesome. I haven't managed to, because I've been
Awesome.
I have been mining LTDs when I really ought to get back down there and start shooting some bugs.
Is that where your rabbit is, Colin? Is it fleeing from the Anti-Xeno Initiative?
Yes, Shan, it obviously is. You'll not leave my poor bunny alone. That's the problem with you.
So I'm molesting your bunny, am I?
Yeah, well, considering he's got his fly strike coming along, I'm probably going to be molesting him as well. Anyway, moving rapidly on, we've had a couple of replies to our little. A couple of weeks ago, we had a little observation where we thought, oh, that would be funny if when your ship died, you lost all engineered modules. And then we thought, that's a really good idea, but can you imagine the salt on the forums? So we asked that question. which was, what do you think would be good for the game, but the community it would generate a Everest amount of salt? And yes, we've had quite a few comments on this one. So I thought I'd run these suggestions past you all. Let you know. I would like to know what you think of them, and on a scale of molehill to Everest, how much salt do you think it will generate? So the first suggestion is, how about when you die, you lose all your mats, just like your cargo?
Well, we do keep them in our pockets of holding. So what happens after that? I have no idea. I like that. Building on that idea, though, you know how some other games you have your great grave that you can go back to.
Oh yes.
I'm wondering, what about the idea of a corpse run? You fly back to your ship.
Surely it'd be a black box you'd be looking for with all your data and stuff on. And
Well, it'll be your data, but also potentially your most of your cargo, most of your mats, and you'd fly back. Frontier could be evil and have it as a public waypoint, or they could be nice and make it only yours.
Yeah, losing your mats would be a K2 level of salt. What would
K2 level of salt? Yeah.
What would raise it to Everest level would be if other people could scoop them up.
Oh, that would be great. I would love that.
or just whoever kills you gets all of your stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nats right though is saying
call the has my stuff update.
Okay, what's the name of the mountain on Mars that's absolutely huge?
Olympus Mons, isn't it?
Olympus Mons. I think that's an Olympus Mons level of salt, that one. It's out of this world. Okay, we'll move on to the next one quickly.
Before you go on to that one, can I just give a quick shout out? Sorry, just program stuff. Stephen Usher. Why am I telling people to go away? It's fine. Stephen Usher is about to start his stream. If you want to go and catch him, and you think he's playing Exile on the BBC Master, you can catch that on twitch.tv/Stephen_Usher, and then you can get us idiots off your screen, and you can watch something possibly entertaining. Otherwise, stay here. It's fine. Well, don't mind.
Oh, Jack Little has just put something fantastic on the chat. Now, this is the thing. I know this would kill the game, but when you die, you actually just spawn in a pod. You can't play the game again until someone's found that pod and taken it to a station.
You're back to the plot of Aliens again now, Colin, aren't you?
And if they choose to blow up the pod, then you spawn again in another pod.
No, that's what Iron Man mode is. You go back to the death screen.
So hang on, if you blow the pod and you spawn another pod, would it be possible to football players across the galaxy and system by blowing pods up, and as they move, you could kind of see? Because I can guarantee if you did that, someone would try and get a dead player to sag A from the bubble by shooting the pods as it went along.
Well, that someone would be you, Shan.
As if. Or doing the shooting. No, in the pod would be Ben and Colin, I think, and then I would be doing the shooting. Yeah.
Colin, do you really want to get into a pod with me?
No, God. Oh, God. Anyway, just
imagine
like
R2D2 and C3PO, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but which one's which? Anyway, thinking about this, I mean, you said only when you've got back to a station. Now, that means technically you could scoop someone's pod, fly to Sajay, and then dump them in Sajay.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And the big old stuck point there forever.
Yes, I like that idea.
It has the Shan approval. Okay, next one. We have NPC crews. Now, this, of course, is Shan's speciality. You undock without any crew. You travel 22,000 light years, yet your crew is still with you. Surely there should be some kind of travel time, as if you summon your ship. What do you reckon of that one?
I'm not sure I like that one, actually. Because
you're not supposed to like it.
No. My reasoning is that when my crew are inactive, they're sort of in a freezer, like the captain in Dark Star, sort of stuffed in a freezer in there. and I then resuscitate them when I need them. So they're with my ship, put them in the freezer. And the idea of stuffing a crew member into a freezer appeals.
See, I was just picturing my crew members as hanging out on my ship while I'm not using them, rather than just being in a freezer. It's sitting in the bar playing pool and things.
Somehow, when you mention freezer, I'm just thinking of The Fifth Element, where they shove all those military people into the freezer. I guess I'm the only one who's seen that scene.
I don't remember that scene from Fifth Element.
Oh, I'll find it for you at some point. How much salt do you reckon that one would cause? I'm reckon just a bit more than a molehill.
Yeah, I think so. Not
It's
quite a
in the
amount.
world.
Yeah, not too much salt, because you'd just sack your crew member and get a new one at the other side, wouldn't you?
You do that anyway.
Well, I suppose so, yeah.
What about if you're blown up, you rather than respawning, you become your last crew member and your commander name changes to their name.
Oh, you mean
And
like a
your
Cylon?
avatar
Picture.
Yeah, and your picture changes to their picture as well. Like it would be a small amount of salt, and I think that some absolute immersion self-flagellants would really like it, but it would still be salt-inducing, I reckon.
Oh, hello, Frontier, who's on the stream. Has to be good now.
It's Stephen. Oh, Stephen remembers that scene, Colin.
Oh, does he now? Yeah, that's good. Well, here's the next one. How come you're able to work for and climb the ranks on both factions, Empire and Federation? Surely you get to a point that you've got to make a choice, one side or the other.
Yeah, I mean, we've been arguing this for years. We've been arguing this for 5 years.
Yeah, but the thing is, how much level of salt would you think would be generated if that had been put into the game?
Are you including the ships being confiscated?
Yes.
Okay, if the ships were confiscated, then yes, that's
quite saline.
Yeah, that turns into a mountain from a molehill to me.
A good Alps level mountain, do you think, or are we verging in Himalayas territory?
I
we're
think we're sort
confiscating
of Ben
cutters here,
Nevis
remember?
level, not Alps level. We're talking about Ben Nevis
Right,
level.
only Ben Nevis.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it starts Molehill, Pennines, Ben Nevis, Alps, Himalayas, and then
Mons Olympus.
Mons Olympus. Yeah.
A lot of people are suggesting that it's not an issue. It's not like that because basically we're mercs, and they're not real ranks. It's only honorary, and it's a way of the faction recognizing us.
But even so,
That's true, though, I think.
even
I
so, though,
agree.
you still have non-compete clauses, though, wouldn't you? Because why would you hire a mercenary who's been killing your faction? Surely
Because
that would
isn't that the definition of a mercenary?
not necessarily, because
Okay.
I would imagine a mercenary. I wouldn't hire someone who had been working for a competitor company only last week. I'd want to give them a certain amount of time.
Isn't that what happens in the gaming industry every single day?
Well, yeah, exactly. So why are we saying this is any different?
Well, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, you get people working in any industry, and yeah, I leave my job at company A, and then I go off and work at company B the next day. Maybe I take a week holiday or something like that, but that's purely personal choice.
So would you then have you could only be one or the other? So you could either be a king or an admiral, and as soon as you went to work for the Empire, you renounced your admiral rank, and so when you went back, you feel like started again, and you had to level your way up again.
I would like that idea. I mean, but that's just me personally.
And funny that it actually ties back into the next point. Now, this is probably just specific for me, but in power play factions, they accept you back even though you have betrayed them countless of times in the past. And so basically, if I wanted to, I could go and then work for Hudson, and then a couple of months later, then go back to Arissa and say, "Oh yeah, I'll rejoin. Don't worry." And there's no consequences to that.
Well, there are in the short term. If you defect, they send.
Oh yeah,
people
they send
to-
mercs after you in the short term, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like you've crossed us once. Yeah, sure, come back.
Doesn't it depend on what you participated in? Because if you're only after it for the prismatics, and you become postman for 3 weeks. That's a different level of involvement being postman for 3 weeks than it is actually blowing ships up, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been merrily murdering your all of your henchmen for the last month to get me some cool new guns. Now I've got them. Can I come back again?
Yeah, it just kind of feels a little. Yeah, well, it is a standard one, which we've been asking about for quite a while. I mean, if you're caught with illegal contraband while approaching a station, yet you're still allowed to approach and dock at that station.
All right, so it's such a weird, imperfect implementation of the stealth mechanic, isn't it? It's so weird that the station can't scan you itself, and that you can turn your transponder off, and they still let you dock. It's just weird, just super weird.
It is, because it's like being caught at customs with 5 kilos of heroin, paying the fine, and then they give you the heroin as you come back out of the station again.
Or being at customs and getting to the passport check thing and just putting a mask on and walking past.
Well, the mask on is probably mandatory these days, but yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. I meant like a full-on like anonymous style.
Ooh.
But yeah, the stealth mechanic in Elite with stations is very strange, very weird. It does work though from a gameplay perspective. It is quite fun.
But the stealth mechanic only lasts until you get to the docking port.
Yeah, and then it's completely irrelevant.
Here's one which I thought was obvious. You can store dozens of ships and hundreds of modules across a range of stations for free. That wouldn't happen in the real world. How much rent do you think they should charge?
Depends on size, doesn't it? With me, if I was charging people rent, I would notice what are the most commonly used items, and then how big are they, and adjust my rent accordingly. I think. Were you just photobombed? Oh, hello, Collins, children.
Humans.
Well, better humans than bunnies.
Ben, you look like a bad NPC.
This is just how I go to the shops. Even though,
I think I've shot you in GTA 5.
quite possibly.
And you've got to say, Sue, I am your father.
That is actually, I don't know how this is even coming across me talking through this thing, but I am amazed that I haven't seen more masks looking like Darth Vader's face mask and things like that.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
The business for personalized sort of natty face masks is huge, though. Because go on.
The whole relevance of doing this was talking about getting masked up and everything like that, just so we could go off and smuggle our goods in.
Yeah.
Because Ben, you look completely innocent and non-suspicious at all wearing like that.
Who wouldn't trust a face like this?
I'm not commenting on that.
You actually look a lot like Colin's avatar now.
Okay.
Like eerily so.
Yeah, I think we've temporarily lost Colin. So I'll take that off because I can't breathe through the damn thing anyway.
Zoom has commandeered my second monitor, so I can't get the show notes up.
Yeah.
The next one would be the change to eliminate open and private group and have everywhere solo.
Everywhere solo, Jesus!
Yes, that's offline mode, isn't it?
That would be massively salty.
Would it? Because don't most people play in solo anyway, so you'd notice a difference.
Do we have stats for that?
We don't. Frontier, I'm sure, do, but we don't.
I would be amazed if most people played in solo.
I don't know.
I would what you call played, though, because in terms of hours played, just talking to you guys, do most of you play in private group solo than you would open play? What's your proportion of time, do you think?
Play in open unless I'm doing something like faffing around with a new hot ass or something like that.
I think for me it depends what I'm doing. If I'm just doing mission running or BGS work and things like that, then open all the way. I would not go to New Baran, for example, in open. Partly because of
An aversion to the rebuy
problems.
screen?
Partly because of that, but also partly because I don't want to be in a mining area with 50 other commanders all trying to get the same rocks.
That sounds quite fun, actually.
It's not that bad. I mean, I'm open all the way. The only times I'm in private groups is for specific content that we're doing in those particular groups.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm open all the way, and also Type 9, no shields.
Oh, riding dirty.
Oh,
but-
yes.
Well, everyone just sees Grant's skin and just like, I'm not touching that.
Well,
Apparently-
related.
Apparently,
Sorry,
it is completely okay if someone has no shields to blow them up without any reason whatsoever. Apparently, that is the law of the land. Whereas I thought, no, get stuffed. I'm flying without shield so I can carry more cargo. If you want to pick a target to rob, none are better than a shieldless Type 9 with a cargo hold full. Just blowing them up is actually, that makes no sense. You're not going to make any money off that. And I'm not going to give a crap either. I'm just going to go and start it again from where I was.
Right, and we've just had an update from Colin. Apparently, the Xeno Bunny has escaped and is currently charging around, eating more boilers and children and wives and things like that. So we have lost a Colin, unfortunately. He's on Xeno Bunny patrol again.
Well, as we mourn Colin for 20 seconds, the next one on the list was you lose insurance on engineered modules. So basically, I think this one is instead of getting your Class 5 engineered FSD back, you get a brand new blank, unmodified FSD without the engineering modifications.
I'd quit, I reckon.
I would be 100%
Just game
okay
over,
with
I'm
that.
done.
Sorry, Suf.
No, go
I'd
on.
be 100% okay with that. Our engineered modules are supposed to be these specialized things that only engineers can make. How the hell are they 3D printed when we blow our bloody ships up?
So you wouldn't mind? You'd be happy with that?
I've never been a fan of engineering anyway, so I would probably just fly around in an A-rated Condor or whatever I'm in,
Yeah,
and I
fair.
wouldn't bother with the engineering.
And there is actually a school of thought that says that engineering and the builds that it enables have kind of
Broken the
ruined-
game?
Yeah, kind of broken the game. Like I was
They
talking to
totally
somebody else the
have.
other day. I've got a friend who backed with me back in early 2014, I think, or late 2013, and he stopped playing Elite. And the other day, I got him to log in to do a conflict zone, not a conflict zone, a res for a while, a has res. And after 15 minutes, he was like, "Dude, I'm not enjoying this. It's just boring. We're flying around in these godlike ships that have no weaknesses, and we're just knocking down these targets that present zero challenge." And I was like, "Oh, well, there are things that present challenge for the late game players. You can go to the Pleiades and you can fight Thargoids and stuff." And it was like, "Well, yeah, but how much faff is that? And they're miles away. And also they require a completely different set of guns. I can't use all this clobber that I've engineered to the max on them." Which are great points. Like there is an argument that engineering has not been an unmitigated good for late game balance. And actually, if they were ephemeral things that you lost when your ship was blown up, it would be arguably quite fun for replayability, I reckon.
The only thing Frontier need to do to sort engineering out is remove the ability to boost your power plant.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Because back in the early days, what I used to love about Elite was the power plant was the one thing that limited what you could do with your ship. So the Vulture had big guns, but a poor power plant, so therefore you couldn't stick 2 Class 3s on a Vulture. You had to compromise. So I think the introduction of the overcharged power plant, I think, was the main cause of that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But a lot of people are also saying, especially weapons as well, they also go off and unbalance the game.
Yeah, but if you can't power them,
Shan's point is that you wouldn't be able to.
Well, what about the low-powered beam lasers and things like that?
They're still lasers. You'd still need
a power plant, but you would have a more efficient one.
Yeah, but you also wouldn't be able to have. Okay, so say you went with your low powered lasers. You would, if you're going for a full laser build, you would still need to compromise on things like the shield generator.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather have them as a temporal thing. So you might put it into your buckyball ship, and that's fine. You might put it into your God's Conda or whatever you want. But then if you lose it, that's a real loss. Rather than just getting rid of one thing.
How about combining it with the loss of materials when you blow up? So not only do you lose engineered modules, you lose the materials to rebuild it again.
Nothing bad could come from that.
So let's raise it in terms of mountain sizes. How much salt would that produce, do you think?
Or Mount Olympus if you combine both of them, I think.
It would change the game a lot if you couldn't. I was thinking about what I've, in terms of hours, what I've spent most of my time in the last sort of 2 years in Elite doing, and it's probably engineering ships that are specialized for certain tasks. And I quite like the fact that I now have ships that are engineered for different things and optimized for a given thing in the game. And if engineering modules was if you lost them when your ship blew up, it would basically remove the incentive to play like that and to build up a stable of specialized ships. So it would probably mean that everybody just flies around in one ship and just takes each day as it comes a bit more.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know if people like the buckyballers or people doing canyon races, would they risk an engineered ship to get the best time? Are they confident enough in their abilities not to lose it?
But isn't that what racing people do anyway? Don't they risk their lives and their everything?
In real life, yes.
Yeah, but most races in real life are not sort of 95% death rate. Whereas every single canyon race that I've done in Elite Dangerous has been won by whoever didn't die.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Psychit's saying over on Twitch. Actually, that and I think you do too, Shan. Actually, that engineering maps are definitely the new currency in Elite Dangerous. Credits is nothing. Completely
totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So the next one we have on the list, because we have open-only power play, which was a Sandro suggestion many years ago.
Yep.
That would not generate salt. That would generate mountains of sugar, giant saccharine mountains of the stuff.
Agreed.
Although there was the argument when this came up that in a way you'd have to decouple the power play modules from the power play mechanic, because that could bring in a potential pay-to-win accusation in terms of the console owners.
Yeah, it probably would.
I don't know, but I'm not a fan of the weapons being a power play limited thing anyway, so I'm all right with that.
I think it would improve the game if that was the case. I think that the power play weapons are creative and interesting, and the fact that they're locked behind the power play powers has several pernicious effects. One, it means that fewer people can enjoy those things. Two, it means that people are incentivized to pledge to powers that they don't want to support, just to bugger about for a month to get their gubbins. So actually, if you decoupled those two, it would probably have two beneficial effects right there.
Yeah. So I'm just busy agreeing with Psychit and Simmons on Discord about open only crossplay, obviously, and also open only BGS.
I don't know how that would work. Like, what would that would basically mean that you can't dock in solo.
You could make it so you can dock in solo, but you selling your Type 10 full of whatever only works if you, at the very least, if you made it from, I would do it so if you flew from the star to the station and docked in open, then that transaction counts. If you did it if you just went into open to sell your stuff and tough, you're a scummy cheating so-and-so, and your BGS transaction doesn't count.
Yeah, I guess. It would please the
Something
BGS
like that.
players a lot. The players who play Elite like a strategy game would really enjoy that.
And the next one, so I'm whipping through these because I'm being warned that Karen will jump in and Shepherd crook us off the stage if we run too late. The next one is space dredges. destroying stations or fleet carriers, which is very Star Trek, the Doomsday Machine. But so, what do you think about that? If you park your carrier in a certain place and a space dredger decides to enter the system, actually, I'd like that because you get the space dredge to enter into the quadruple hotspot, and it would just like munch its way through fleet carriers.
Just like Pac-Man.
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm pro that.
So in terms of salt level, if your fleet carrier full of low temperature diamonds was munched,
Honestly, I'd do it as the way that you would decommission a fleet carrier, rather than just this dredger coming through and saying, "You're mine now." But yeah, I like the idea in general.
Red
Elite
sea
Fleet
levels of
Kaizen
salt.
has said something I think that would be amazing for the game, but generate a mountain of salt would be if you have to unlock each ship in the line, trade, exploration, combat, in order to take good time to be forced to get to know each ship. So you couldn't just jump straight to the Anaconda. You'd have to go off and
have an induction session or something.
Well, you'd have to
How
work your
would
way up to the
you-
Anaconda.
how would you measure it though? Because how would you measure? How would you say what's an exploration in Anaconda, for example? How far do you have to go before?
I
it
guess
counts as
I
exploration?
would. I guess the way I'd probably do it would be a bit like Warcraft, or I don't know about Guild Wars, but a bit like Warcraft's
Like a skill tree.
skill tree kind of thing. It's probably so you have to unlock this and then do something in that, and you make your way up, and eventually you have an Anaconda permit.
Sounds terrible.
It wouldn't
Yep.
just be Type 6, Type 7, Type 9. It would be...
Well, yeah, because you have to do that in real life. I can't just go out and buy an articulated lorry and drive it on the road just because. I
No,
can
but you
afford to buy an
could at
articulated.
17 go off and buy some mega $1,000 Ferrari, or your dad could at 17, couldn't they?
Well, some cars they won't actually let you buy one until you've been on a track day and had been shown to be able to drive it. But yeah. The next one, I think, because we have to finish up, is what I think what the game really needs is a Hollow Me monocle, preferably to cost $100 in real money in ARX.
Yep, absolutely. Novelty hats as well for money.
Well, Ben has
Actually,
a novelty hat.
I have an idea for terrible salt-inducing innovation. So I think it's Black Desert Online, the cosmetics are all purchasable. So your outfits are cosmetic, and you have to buy them with real money. And that is ostensibly, sort of one of the less predatory ways you can monetize an online game. But the default outfits that you can get just through normal play are horrendous. And the most powerful is a ghillie suit that's entirely made out of foliage. And it makes your character look like a complete Burke. And one thing that Elite has done quite well is that the default skins on the ships that you get for free are totally fine. They look, half of my ships I still have the default skin and they look completely fine. So it'd be quite fun to make the default skins on the ships awful, like bright sickly yellow green or something, and that you've got to spend real money to get paint jobs that aren't horrendous.
I've just thought of another one. You have to buy ammunition with real money.
Yeah.
And one ARX per round. What's the singular of ARX anyway? An R?
No, I think it's 1 ARX, 2 ARX, 3 ARX, 4.
Okay.
He ARX, she ARX, I ARX.
We sure it ARX.
Arco, Arcas, Arcant.
Obsidian Arcant. Anyway.
Right. We still have those questions from Commander Squirrely Pez and Pessimist Prime on Twitch. Not Twitch.
Shall we ask Karen if
on Reddit.
we've got time to move on
Well,
to the questions, or
we could ask Karen, or we could just start wrapping up.
I think it's better to ask forgiveness and permission. So let's just quickly go through them.
I want to give these guys some justice because they've done a lot here.
Okay,
we
we need
do
something
Squirrely
to do.
Pezzes. We will
We
do
need
Squirrely
something for next
Pezzes.
week. So okay.
Yeah. So here's my idea for a salt mine credit problem and increase the danger. Have the Pilots Federation take a cut of income as insurance costs. For Triple Elite Pilot, you would take 50% off for a fully engineered ship, 25% off for an unmodified ship, 5% off for a new pilot. Then you'd make the insurance policy adjustable only after ship destruction to avoid abuse. This would lead to a credit laundering. This would possibly lead to credit laundering via carriers. I'm not sure how you get around that. But if you choose a less costly policy, then the Pilots Federation would pay less for the rebuy, and engineered modules would only be replaced with full coverage, maybe requiring some kind of materials cost as well to cover the engineered modules. Hope I've got a chuckle and some sodium. And that's from Squirrely Pez in Texas, USA.
I actually like that idea. I'd quite like to see that in the game.
Sorry, Stu.
It's kind of the way Star Citizen works. If you, well, it will work when it's released in 2050. But the premise is that if you've paid your insurance, your rebuy is virtually free. But if you haven't paid your insurance for that month for that ship, you lose the ship. So actually, that idea is quite similar to that. I really like the idea of having your engineered modules only, you rather than being the insurance premium being payable in or the excess being payable in credits than being payable in materials. That's quite fun.
I quite like that idea as well. Yeah, maybe not the full material cost, but a percentage of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about having a good old-fashioned no claims bonus?
Oh, yeah, it just incentivizes everyone to be boring, doesn't it? I say this as somebody with 200 rebuys.
I'm going with boring rather than careful there. Yeah, I don't think I'd go off and.
Yeah, but then what you could do, you'd pay extra for modifications, which you would do in cars anyway. So therefore, I don't know. Always strange. I think why they don't give you benefits for not blowing up.
Yeah. I think the real answer to that is because it's a game, not real life.
And they do get a bonus in that they haven't spent a load of money on their rebuy. Anyway, what time do we need to be off this?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, cool.
Unless, of course, there's a bit that you need to do before the end. Like,
I think we don't want to.
The
cover
voice
Pessimist
from the
Prime
heavens.
Yeah, Karen is indeed a heavenly voice. This is very true.
Let's do some shout-outs, I think, and wrap up.
I thought that was you. I thought that was you volunteering there, Shad.
No.
I can't see the show notes, so one of you will have
you do the shout-out, Sven.
Okay, right. Well, in that case, then I'll give a shout-out to Hutton Orbital Radio, who did a brilliant sketch yesterday with a bunch of the Frontier staffers, and that was a lot of fun. But they normally do their broadcasting on Thursdays from 8:30 British summertime at the moment. Grant, do we know if there's going to be a stream on this Thursday?
There should be.
So watch their space rather than our space, because if you're watching our space for Hutton stuff, you're doing it wrong. But you can watch that at tv.forthemug.com, and the audio for that is on radio.forthemug.com. For our lovely commanders who enjoy their CQC action, as we did the other night, and that was a blast. You need to fix your joystick though, Shad, so you can join us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and you can go off and you can join in some CQC action by going to discord.me/EliteDangerousCQC. So, thanks to so many people. Okay, thanks to Karen, thanks to Alan, thanks to Cow, thanks to Norman, thanks to Simuth, thanks to the Twitch chat, thanks to Colin, thanks to the Xeno Bunny, thanks to Shan, thanks to Lennon's Bunny, thanks to Suverine, thanks
he got a bunny.
I don't know if Suverine's got a bunny.
I have a cat.
Thanks to Suverine's cat. Thanks to Grant for rolling his fingers in the air. Thanks especially to Grant for singing last night after Dockers. That was brilliant. I would like to thank my mother, my father, for doing things 40-something years ago.
All the people that have supported you throughout your creative process.
Yeah, all the people who have supported me, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you want to get in touch with the show, then you can email us at info@laveradio.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/laveradio. You can send us a tweet at @laveradio. We are on our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We have a TeamSpeak server where you can also come out and chat at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Feel free to get in touch with us if you've got any questions, and we can talk about them in future episodes. We can ignore them. We can do whatever we fancy. We'll probably give you a shout out, though, because nobody emails us, and we miss it. So Lave Radio is usually recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30, but I don't think we're going to be doing them this weekend because we're going to be recovering from this Tuesday because we're recovering from this weekend. Thank you very much again to Shan, to Suv, to Grant, looking at me, staring at me. It just looks like Grant is now staring into my eyes. I'm just going to... this is
He's looking into your soul, Ben, is what you're saying.
I'm feeling it right here. Anyway, until next time, Commanders, fly safe.
One thing. Don't we have a Witherspoon after this?
Witherspoon, do we have you after this?
You do. Oh.
We do.
And I just have to ask Suverine one thing. He's got a tuft of hair sticking out the back of his head. Is that a mullet or is that just a different haircut?
Me or?
Yes, if you turn around, the little tuft of hair at the back. Oh, I see. Okay.
There's lots of tufts of hair. It's made up of tufts.
So
I need to know precisely which one you're referring to answer the question.
Anyway, and before Grant goes off and explodes, that's it. And until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Jolly good. Here's a very short Galnet News Digest, 5th of July, 3306. We read the news, of course, because you don't have to. In this Lavecon's news, ice dice maybe? The 13-minute barrier? And handing over the disc. Ice dice maybe? There's been a rare leak from the secretive organization known as Spider-Man Games, long known as the company that was always just about to deliver the EDRPG rulebooks, and now better known as the company that's always just about to deliver ED battle cards. It's believed that it'll soon become the company that will always be just about to deliver the level up table on a table. The leak revealed new products, the Jupiter Skies RPG, and more Legendary Kingdoms books. But what's really caught the attention of commanders is the so-called ice dice. These molds will allow commanders to make solid ice dice in all of the most popular shapes. The range will not sadly include the cubo-octahedron of the Coriolis starport, but the quest is already on the way to find suitable straplines, including Refresh Your Adventure, Game Nights, Just Got Cooler, and H2 Awesome. The ice dice will, of course, work just like normal dice in Stephen Benedetti's house in Scotland, where the temperature never rises above freezing. More creative commanders are already investigating the possibility that they might be able to make cheese dice using the molds. But that would be very silly indeed. The 13-minute barrier. The Buckyball Racing Club is right now hosting a carefully organised racing event to coincide with the Lavecon called The Rush Job, It involves leaving Lave Station, docking at 4 platforms in neighbouring systems and making it back to Lave before Alan Stroud has finished his introductory remarks. As we wrote this bulletin, Commanders Darplata 94 and Shea Blackwood were jointly in the lead on 13 minutes and 6 seconds. Intriguingly, one was flying an Imperial Courier and the other was flying a Viper Mark III. Are these ships really so evenly matched? And will anyone be able to beat the 13-minute barrier? We have until midnight to find out. Handing over the disc. As this weekend of telepresence draws to a close, we look back on some of what has happened. Commander Bapster ran a retro gaming stream, during which Bapster Jr. proved that he could out-Bapster Bapster. A Marine invaded the Elite Dangerous role-playing game and violently and with much swearing, such as blimey, flipping heck and heavens above, dispatched an innocent giant spider with a knife and a rusty pair of scissors. The old codgers of Lave Radio held a cosy fireside chat with cocoa and blankets over their laps to keep them warm. They chewed the fat over Animal Crossing, itch.io, and how the old days were the best days. Meanwhile, many commanders, including Josh Perry, David Torrens, David Campbell, Russell Pitcher, Gareth Smith, James McAndrew Smith, and Steve Giller, completed a virtual 10K run in aid of special effect. It turns out that unlike Lavecon, this virtual event actually involves going outside and running about. So it's not all that virtual. Hutton Orbital News featured not only Daffyd from Spider-Man Games, but also a Dav of many disguises, a Dom of very many hats, and a Stephen of Arctic Apparel. And for the first time ever, the docudrama Dockers contained not one swear word. Except for that Amelia Hawke, she's a complete potty mouth. As the virtual stage gets cleared for the virtual raffle, the Lavecon organisers are puzzling over how to hand over the mechanical disk drive full of pictures that was the motivation for the very first Lavecon all those years ago. They might just have to learn about cloud storage and how to share a link. And that's this year's virtual Lavecon news. So Lavecon news, we read the news so you don't have to.